doing it.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I'm here with Melanie Kay from Starbody Earth, and we're just going to have a little chat today.
Yeah, really excited. We just opened up that last week was so nuts with all the geomagnetic storms, and I know there's another wave coming through. So I know I got rocked, and I have a lot to share about that. But you started to talk about, started to lead us in, and I was like, let's just go.
Yeah. So I'm just talking about San Francisco and how, so we did an activation in San Francisco, 9/9, was it 19? Right. So 9/9, it was a 9/9/9. And we went around the creational portal of San Francisco, which is, around the top of the peninsula. So if you look at like San Francisco here, it's just like right around this. Oh, now I've lost you again, your audio.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
pointed star with the twin peaks at the center, right?
with Twin Peaks at the center, right? So I've been, walking these points and just grounding light, and I'm seeing a real shift, in the city, but also this dichotomous split of all these beings of light, right? These young kids starting to move in and getting really excited. But then all of this other energy, where people are reporting, oh, San Francisco's terrible. There's too many homeless and too many, and all this stuff is going on, and all these businesses have moved out. Well, I say good riddance, let's bring in that resurgence of creative energy. And I'm seeing it starting to flow in. And the people who aren't resonating with that energy are moving out, so that feels really good, and I feel this whole city of light coming in and grounding, anchoring to the top of Twin Peaks, the center of the portal. There was a triangular crystal pyramid in the bay that was trying to re-anchor into this falling timeline, and Cynthia and I cleared that. So that was all this new, really fresh energy since that work was done is really coming in. So it's a very exciting time here in SF for sure, for sure. But I think what we were, talking about earlier was that dichotomy where we're seeing this energy split, right? And as the divine feminine, divine masculine is healing, there's energy that's coming back together, but then there's energy that's spiraling off. So it's a really interesting phenomena that's happening right now.
Yeah, I'm really watching myself. Well, so I just came back from Nepal, and we did the Longtong Valley and um, Gosai Kunda trek. And Gosai Kunda is this lake that has this incredible lore around it, where Shiva took the poison into his throat for humanity, and then he's so parched from taking that on, and suffering, so he struck his trident down and created this lake and laid down and cooled the heat from the poison, and transmuted it. And so it's a really powerful place for doing that kind of Tonglen practice, where you breathe in the suffering, and then you transmute it through your body and breathe it out and breathe it back into the earth. So I did that practice there. But man, oh man, I had no idea how, I mean, I just took on so much. I took on so much. And I mean, I was crying for like almost 2 hours after doing that practice there at the lake, and doing my mala, working with the Jyotir mantra. And anyways, getting back, I just kind of flippantly am like, oh, this, I've integrated it. I had my tears. I've moved it, whatever. Oh no, not at all. I mean, I told you this, but on my way home, I ended up spilling scalding hot water on my lap and burning my whole right side of my leg. And I mean, it was horrible. I'm still healing from it. But what I know, all these things are layered. Our physical body processes, our mental, emotional, spiritual body, all these processes are so layered. And my personal was like layered with the collective on how this toxic masculine and the rage and the pain that I'm experiencing in my physical body is actually like really, I had the emotional and mental processes of that in real time within the week, 2 weeks I was there, and so it's all being expressed, this like really, it's like the innocent child heart has rage and pain from the power, abuse of power of the patriarchy for how many centuries, right? It's like that is coming out and purging. And, you know, I put myself in front of media that is expressing that as well, the falling of this Epstein character. And then, Hugh Hefner and the Playboy Mansion and all the secrets being revealed about all the abuse and of power in that realm. And all of these kind of major archetypal toxic masculine, wounded masculine, I should say. I won't say toxic masculine, wounded masculine,
Mm.
that didn't get the love and had to somehow take it or steal it or punish
Mm.
feminine because of that. It's just all being revealed, and it just feels slow, like so much clarity around that. Like I can just see how multidimensional, how layered, and how global it is. It's not just, I mean, it was personal for me for many reasons I don't need to go into, but it's a global pattern that's breaking and cracking.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Okay. It's like, are you gonna watch the tower? Or are you gonna rebuild what needs to, are you gonna heal? Or are we doing both at the same time? Like it's happening simultaneously.
yeah, yeah. It is really happening simultaneously, and I think also different people are processing different layered things, right? I think one of the things that I went through a little bit earlier in the year was really tapping into some of the betrayals of the Guardian Alliance back 22,000 years ago, where these twin ray couples were basically like taken off planet, and the women were forced to breed like
Oh,
these dark souls, and their men were basically used for information and then killed, zapped, right? And so there's also these energetic betrayals that we're processing in, I think, the energetic collective. If you want to know a little bit more about like some of that disastrous breeding project from the I think at Anunnaki, really, the Wheel of Time, the series Wheel of Time on Prime, where the character of Egwene gets collared. There was very similar energy to that held the women in place so they couldn't use their power. And yeah,
and I don't know where it came from. But I know I read about it. There was a book that spoke about those breeding practices, the Anunnaki.
yeah,
The Chin's book or what? But anyways, no, there's information out there about that, and I have memories. Yeah.
yeah.
Can-
So there's this also this anger, this underlying anger and mistrust, of the feminine uh, to the masculine, like a mistrust of the masculine, right? What are your intentions, right? And so one of the patterns that I'm seeing is this almost like backing up and then trying to please, right? Not really like being able to show the full divine feminine power because it's been so used and abused, right? And stamped down. And it's still going on, it's still going on in the US, in the political spectrum too. We're seeing that dichotomy, which is really telling, of everything that's shaking loose right
Yeah,
now.
the silencing of the female voice, and the calling out, the whistleblowing of these misuses of power. I mean, that's like the Stormy Daniels thing, right? She's getting so much, but she's so public about it. She's actually documenting the whole process of her, you know, the threats, the silencing, and then the collective that is rallying around Trump in some, I don't, I don't know, there's some weird spell there.
Yeah, there really is. He has, I think, an army of wizards, right, working on energy protection for him. And I mean, he's his own Bengali anyway. You know, he can sell ice to Eskimos, right?
But he has power, you know,
Mhm.
he has a lot of power and he wields it and to, to watch that, I don't know. Yeah, I'm finding it really interesting. There's like a special that came out in 2022. I ended up watching and I go into these weird media spirals like once in a blue moon, but like I just go deep because there's a hook there, there's something information piece that I need to like unravel what I'm unraveling in the interdimensional planes. And the thing that I noticed was like this I never looked at Hulu, but I got Hulu for some reason. And there's a whole thing on a Playboy series for the women talking and exposing
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
any thing. Um,
Mhm.
but I feel like it was squashed. Even that,
Mm, mhm.
like there was another thing on Hugh Hefner that glorified the whole thing that was like really lifted up. Netflix bought into it, and then this thing is just like meandering over here and nobody's looking at it. Nobody wants to hear about it. And it's really interesting. You can very much see how the pattern is so pervasive.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
It's just really bled into the culture.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, I mean, I mean, women, we couldn't even vote until 1919. Oh, you were cutting out again, huh?
Sorry, I just said I feel
Mm.
like feminists were be laughing at us right now and be like, "You're just turning this corner now." But you know what? It's not. It's that's a surface layer. This is like a multi-dimensional thing that we're looking at. Like you're talking
Multidimensional.
about, galactic timelines.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least going on 22,000 years, at least, right?
Mhm.
And probably longer and if you look at different time cycles or different planetary issues and situations. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think it really all goes back to that connection to Earth, right? Because that natural ability that we have as I mean, as humans, right? But it feels like there's more intuitive awareness in the feminine population, right? It's like the people who are doing, healing work and really doing the deep work. The greater percentage of women, not to say men aren't doing it, they are. And there's starting to be more and more and more as this imbalanced masculine feminine energy starts to sort of rebalance and heal itself, back on the way to unity. But that connection to earth, right, has been so covered over, right? And I don't know, I just keep I feel like I've been, gotten many upgrades over the last couple of months. So seeing a lot more in the multidimensional sphere. And one of the things I'm seeing is the way this dark matrix timeline is like anchored in people, right? Because when we're born into it, it's just like how we're born, it's what we know, right? But it's not what we're capable of fully. So what I was seeing with that was almost like this, those 70s egg chairs,
Yeah.
almost like this egg chair, right? That comes over a person's head if they're totally anchored in this dark matrix, and it's anchored in the hara, the belly button, almost like with a screw crank and a band, and it slides back and forth. Like if the person is holding light and the capability of light, that egg chair won't be over their head, but it is always blocking their earth star chakra, right? And so, we were talking about, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, how layered and layered and how there's so many like layers to get to the true heart of earth. Like you have to pierce through these fake layers, these fake earth, fake earth, that no wonder it's been hard to connect to the heart of earth. So I feel like as that happens, as this earth energy, the true earth energy really becomes more available, it allows us to hold a higher resonant vibrational frequency and a more true alignment, you know, with pure source, with pure earth. And having that direct connection, it's almost like everything else just falls away.
I wonder if maybe that's like I'm having a hard time with the false or the language of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost wondering if it's like how rapid the upgrades are coming in, if there aren't just layers coming off, coming off,
Mhm.
coming off, because she's getting like I just feel that the when I think of the heart of Gaia, I really think of the Earth Star, right? Like you're
Mhm.
talking, I think of that just brilliant blue star in the core of the planet that is just radiating multidimensional light, and as we're getting all this photon light energy and from these solar storms, and that energy, like our auric field of the earth can only, we take in a lot, we bounce off a lot, but the rest comes into the polar centers, just like our auric field where
Mhm.
it comes into the polar center, either from the top or from the bottom, both directions. Goes right into the center and starts vibrating more quickly, right? More photon light energy, more higher vibration. So as she's doing that, like we're all having to adjust to her. And so I think that deepening into the true earth is just going to keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
Mhm.
What is it? Really, it's just a more fine vibration, or at least it feels that way for me. And yeah, everything's having to purge out. Um, which again, like kind of brings me back to like last week. I spent a lot of the week kind of watching the towers falling, watching the layers falling away, watching those things peel back. But I could have easily switched my focus. Not easily because it wasn't easy. I like was obsessed, but sometimes we have to we have to watch the crash on the highway when we're passing by. Like it's almost impossible not to look, But this week, I'm like, no, your focus is going to be on like that, which is that earth star, pure blue light energy, letting that fill my body, letting that repair and heal, bringing my, stellar energies and having that merge in my body and helping alchemize. I mean, because we can support and we can be supported by the earth in that.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
But it
It's
is,
it.
it's like that trust, like you're talking about that when anybody breaks trust in a relationship, as we all know, like you create a distance, and you
Mhm.
have a different cast of on that person who betrayed you. And I think right now, I have a lot of compassion for men in our country right now because they're just getting the heat. And, you know, it would be hard not to defend yourself in that. It's hard to get into the vulnerability. It's hard for guys who've been programmed in a certain way to do that work. And it's hard for women and people that lean in more towards their feminine nature to trust again. But there's nothing you can do but have faith and trust, like you just have to give it another go and trust and know that you're strong inside. That's, I think, very hard for people.
We'll also know that now is not then,
Yes.
right? That we're going through an evolution that's going to take work on everybody's part.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do, right? Every single person who's on Earth now has signed up to be here at this time, right? And we're the best of the best. We've spent what, 1,000 lifetimes planning to be here now, some of us.
Us masters, we come around during every day turn. Oh, you're like,
That's right.
yeah. But it's funny, like you said, I think that I'm really this week I really want to focus on where my gaze is, like
Mhm.
where my gaze is. Am I looking at the destruction, or am I looking at the creation, or am I staying somewhere balanced in the middle in terms of like, yeah, where my attention is going?
Mhm.
How we're participating in the great church. It's happening no matter what.
Mhm.
Like but we have a choice about how much resistance we have towards our own process, how much, where our focus is and what we're kind of highlighting around us. So that's my own, I'm talking to myself.
No, I think that's really a great reminder. We do have a choice, right? We do have a choice where our gaze goes. We do have a choice of like how the global narrative in the world is triggering us, right? And you know, sometimes you just have to say, not my circus, not my monkeys, right? And just ground as much light as you can, right? And be present in your own energy, really, because when each of us do the work, that does more than like getting involved with something that's not really yours to be involved with, right? Yeah, send love, send healing, you know, and healing earth always will receive love and healing for sure. And then it ripples out, you know, to everyone who's accepting of it. But yeah, I totally hear you. Like staying in your own lane, I think really is really important right now.
So interesting, and yeah, I feel that, and this thing too, I'm really humbled by the Tonglen practice. You know, I'm actually
Mm.
creating a group in November. We're gonna do the same track and do a similar practice, but really, I'm like, wow, I really have to take care with how, what I'm breathing in, what kind of, how much suffering I'm breathing in, how much space
Mm.
I'm holding for the collective. Because we can, we're multidimensional, right? So I know that I can go out into quantum and I can hold earth, you know, and I can Reiki on the earth, you know, like I know that we can do that through the solar system. I mean, we're travelers in that way. We can do that. And I guess I just didn't, I was very humbled because I didn't realize how much that was gonna come into my physical being, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or how many nets I still had, traps I still had to, that I haven't cleared, webs that
Mm-hmm.
I haven't cleared, where the global energy got stuck in my own stuff and
Mm-hmm.
then had to purge out in a pretty violent way. So
Yeah.
I do, yeah, that's another choice point, right? Do we stay in our lane and do we kind of really keep it in our personal process and our close community? Or, you know, are we expanding ourselves and doing kind of global,
Mm-hmm.
not only grid work, but also like what I was feeling into, and it felt like I cracked a blueprint,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or just really I came out of it a couple days ago. But I was really in this thing about seeing that global pattern between that mistrust of the masculine and the wounded masculine, and where the wounded feminine comes in and how that plays, and what's the solution and what's the difference. I was seeing the whole thing, and it was just this incredible um, system. And then it was just like, okay, it's done. Like something just went
Mm-hmm.
out
Mm-hmm.
like that. I was like out of my funk. It was very challenging though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll say thank you, you know, just thank you for the work that you do and that the awareness you have around it, right? And I mean, that's one of the things that I coach people on all the time, and also myself, right? Is just having the awareness. You know, sometimes you don't need to do anything about it, but if you are just like aware of what's going on, like I know I've known you for a long time, you're always uber aware of the somatic processing that's happening that, you know, is connected to the body, connected to the collective. You know, I think we all have that. But I mean, just starting simple, like with the negative thoughts and feelings that come up, saying, wait a minute, okay, I'm hearing you, I'm seeing you. I don't need to be in that space. I can just be in my space of processing in my own time, you know, and I think just that awareness of the body, breathing into each of the chakras, right? Connecting the awareness instead of just walking blindly through life, right? Has been, I don't know, a challenge for me originally. Like my parents never said, "Hey, Tanya, how do you feel?" I had to learn how to feel my own feelings. I never really, you know, was taught how to do that. You know, and so I think that speaks to also that generational I don't know, I would call it the Protestant work ethic. I come from like a series of families who are concerned about, you know, what are you doing for work? Are you being productive? Are you being a productive member of society? You know, but that also was based on the programming that society was telling us we had to do. And now we're starting to disconnect from that. I'm, you know, disconnected from it and noticing how much lighter and freer, right, the energy is in my body. Yeah, how much more grounded, like coming into the authority of Earth Mother, how much more grounded and connected I feel in that way.
That, yeah, beautifully expressed. You just sparked something in me where it's like, you know, when we work those patterns out within ourselves, when we're doing our inner work, we don't even need to share about it verbally, express it. It's beautiful when we do, and it's very inspiring. But just the presence, you're transmitting a liberation if you've done that work inside of yourself. And I think that's what I don't know. I think that's what people don't understand when you know, kind of what's that aphorism about, like, you want to change the world, you just start with yourself, you know. I think that really, that penny really drops when you start realizing, when you're doing your inner work and when you're finding these liberations and when you're opening up these spaces and finding more freedom within yourself, all of a sudden people around you are starting to do that too, and you really feel how your energy is just transmitting those codes and those, and the capacity for those freedoms.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Funny, I got it. Thinking about this masculine, wounded masculine versus the divine feminine kind of rising, and this, like, you know, this thing where there's like this really thing that's wanting to hang on, and then there's this other thing that's like, no, I'm coming.
Yeah.
Um, this sounds so cheesy, and I know there's a lot of controversy around it, but I actually listened to, on my 12-hour flight and my whatever drive, I listened to the book that Prince Harry wrote, Spare.
What's it called? You just cut out both times.
Sorry, Prince Harry came out with a book called Spare.
Spare.
Yeah, like he's the spare. You know, there's the air and the spare. So
Oh God. Okay, yeah.
so he wrote this book, and it's all about his life, but also about this, you know, leaving the royal family, you know, leaving Britain,
Mhm.
and the backlash that they have got. So then I went on a spiral around that, and I'm like completely fascinated with it because he's carrying that Diana energy through. He's really in his source place. And in the book, you feel it. He's so connected spiritually, to, you know, motherland, Africa. Like he's got these stories about, you know, his moments he's had with big cats and like the different, you know, the different wildlife there and how connected to nature he is. And then really standing up for what was right. I mean, he's totally like a warrior, and but the backlash is like, it's classic Prince Charles, or now King Charles or whatever. His woundedness, that's just like so toxic. You should see
Mhm.
it. The British press covering the whole Meghan Markle and Harry leaving the UK. It's just
Mhm.
disgusting. Like, so vile gossip, you know. It's just like the worst of the worst of the worst. Like, I can't even believe that people are put on air talking like that, and it's just terrible. So I'm again,
Here's a
global warriors. They're global. This guy's a global warrior,
Yeah.
you know.
There was
Right.
was it? I don't know if it's in Revelations or if it was some other kind of prophecy that I read, but one of the one of the wordings was something like the young lion king takes back the light. And when I read that, I can't remember the exact wording, but when I read that, I'm like, oh, they're talking about the royal family, the Britain royal family. And who's holding the light, right? Who is going to be the warrior of light? And I just was thinking, oh, it's Harry. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but it's funny that you're talking about this. And one of my teachers, Brian DeFlores, was talking about this recently also, that all of the light in the royal family is being held by Harry and Meghan
Oh, yeah.
right
Totally.
now. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
Being overlighted by Diana. Exactly
oh,
what you're saying right now. Yeah. So I was feeling that energy, and then he said that, and now you're saying it. I'm like, oh, okay. That's the third time I'm hearing it. Yeah.
it's a good listen. Like I actually haven't ever really been into books on tape, but I had so much time where, that was like the best way. So that was a good, and he narrated it. It was nice.
hmm hmm Yeah. I just drove back.
I mean, there's clearly ego in it, and
Of
the simple
course.
storytelling, but whatever. Like he's holding a big. When you have a big role like that, you have to have a big ego. The ego is just a container for the spirit to shine through, anyways. But you have to build that up.
hmm hmm
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, as one who has incarnated into the UK royal family a couple different times, I know the power trap, right? And the hunger for that power, right? That is pervasive in all of the beings who ran through that lineage. Yeah. And to disconnect from that is disconnect from that domination and control, right? The need for, having energy under your thumb, right? To be able to snap your fingers and say, yes, I'm taking this. Yeah, I think it's shaking out really all over the place. Just talking about that balancing, right? I was seeing it, in my brother-in-law, right, who's holding so much ancestral energy from the Spanish and then the indigenous, right? And that energy is still fighting with each other. Working with someone from the Philippines who's holding that same like rebalancing of the indigenous versus the colonizing energy. So it's playing out in many different people, just like this wounded masculine rising feminine, right, is rebalancing back to a place of unity and trust and love and collaboration. Yeah. But it's been a rocky road for sure.
And I think you kind of nailed something that, um, this. I feel like the epidemic that we are facing kind of globally is narcissistic wounding, which really at its core is very early absence of love. It's very early, neglect and not really being able to see the other. Like that's the core wound of narcissism. And people, and then the of course it gets uglier and uglier as you get older and you haven't healed it. Right?
Mhm,
So, and it
mhm,
gets more manipulative, but really the aim is to get the attention and get the love that never was given in the
mhm,
early stages of development. So I always have compassion for and we all have that inside of us in some way, shape, or form, and so I don't know. I think we're all healing that. I think that's why I mean, social media is such a huge boon, it's just that people want to be seen, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, and everyone's like needing their voice out there because they're missing this thing that didn't get laid down. So all of our family systems have been divided, and
mhm,
I think this kind of division and all everything being mixed up and all, like all the bloodlines being mixed up. I mean, we're all in this kind of global blender right now, um, and in a lot of ways, like I can really see how it's all going to come back around, and we're building this like unity family because we're seeing how these kind of cultural differences and things are starting to kind of shed away in some way, like they're getting diluted because we have so much global communication and we have so many, patterns and trends being shared
Mhm.
around. And I think in some ways that's a great way because it helps us to like start and rebuild something that really works for everybody. Um, Unfortunately, the like duality of that is that we're having these incredible conflicts in really incredible power places.
Mhm. 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 Yeah. I mean, but that's, again, that's been going on for centuries and centuries and centuries, right? It's not something that's going to get resolved overnight. The deep division and the deep hatred. Can love heal it? Yeah, okay, sure. Right. But there's also, again, going back to the power, right? Wanting to be in power, wanting to stay in power, wanting to control, right? A certain area of land
Yeah.
for whatever's there, for the stargates that are there, yeah, I went to this workshop, and one of the guys was talking about, which really resonated with me, was as this higher frequency energy is hitting the core of Earth is vibrating, and readjusting to a higher frequency. And the way he described it, which I really like this, is almost like an etch-a-sketch, right? Where the etch-a-sketch is shaking, right? And you can draw lines on an etch-a-sketch. We all played with it when we were kids. And so think about like the ley lines of the planet. And now this higher frequency energy is shaking like an etch-a-sketch, and it's almost like the ley lines are getting reset. So they're shifting a little bit, and I know that we were in Egypt last year and really worked on that Nile chakratic activation. And I had, dreams 3 weeks after that about repairing one of the stargates there. And it's just like as things shift and shake and change, I feel like right now I'm in a hub where these new sort of ley lines are starting to like reemerge. So that's very exciting to me.
It's so exciting, on a 3D level, of course I was like gone and doing all that work on the grid for like 5.5 years. I was like just out of the country, just getting guided through this stuff, and I was doing so much deconstruction work
Mhm.
for this shit,
Mhm.
right? And for this shakedown, because there were these points that were so deeply anchored in, and there were points that were anchored in that were not even sort of part of the natural grid, that needed to get lifted out so this thing could move and shake. So she could move it and shake it. She could get
Shake
her.
it like an etch-a-sketch.
It's still shifting so much. I mean, and I don't know. We don't know how things are gonna unfold, and
Mm-mm.
I think there's a lot of people could probably, predict all day long, but why? Let's be in the mystery. Let's like have let's be in this surprise. And there will be a time. I'm feeling so much now, like now that I'm back in Mount Shasta and back here, I really feel like, no, it's time to stay grounded here for a while because there's going to be a moment where it's going to be like, okay, now it's time to go activate these points, go strengthen them. I wouldn't say activate them because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but to go help
Fortify.
by exactly and strengthen. Yeah,
Y-
because
You
right
know,
now we're in this like chaos creation moment,
Mhm.
like we're in this birthing, we're like full on in it, and it's just chaos magic, and so we just don't know. We don't know yet.
That's
This is
right.
a long birth canal, people.
It's so funny since we did that work in Egypt now, I keep seeing, like, I don't know, the emailing lists I'm on, or on Insta or Facebook, whatever. Come join me on a chakra tour of Egypt. I'm seeing this like in I think about four different people who are taking two groups to Egypt. Yeah.
A lot of people doing that right now. And yeah, it's good. It's good. People need to remember. Honestly, there's so much there. I was just talking because I know when I brought people on the tour, which by the way I have scheduled for the end of March next year. So if people are interested, go look at my website. But I told you about the Winged Pharaoh book. So because that was a book that was channeled by Joan Grant in the 30s, and she talks about the moment with which things start to change and shift in Egypt, right? It's an incredible book. I mean, for someone to be channeling at that level in the 30s, blows my mind. But there's this other book that hopefully will get out by that time that I worked with Auntie Minnie Mace in Australia, who had this channeled book from another fellow who, if you corroborated those two stories, the story of Pokhara and Winged Pharaoh, they're just like layers, they're like two characters in the same timeline and the same moment in history. And they give two faceted experiences of basically the fall of the Golden Age of Egypt and how that happened. It's fascinating. We need to get that book out because it just, the pattern that is described in the story of Pokhara is literally the pattern of hijacking that is happening still today in the culture. And I know that we need to remember that. And I think that's why people keep going back or being called to Egypt, because there's something there, and cracking the code. There's a transmission there. It's like a memory gets activated about how it was to live in balance in our city, state, religion, have harmony in our daily life, There was still hierarchy in place, but it was respectful. It was in support of the whole.
Right.
There was none of this corruption that is just so pervasive and like disgusting. It's disgusting.
Because now, as we're a citizen, right, it gives the corporation of our country the right to harvest energy from them. Right. And that's just
that way. It was never meant to
not the way. It was not meant to be that way. Now, we were meant to work in union and communion with Earth and community, right, in a way to learn and grow and explore, and be the energy explorers that we are, but also be the guardians of Earth and her stargates. Yeah, I have those memories of that early time. When I read that Joan Grant book, a whole bunch of memories came back to me about being in Egypt. Also it was probably around that time of 22,536 years, the start of the last solar cycle, where then I was taken from Egypt and perpetrated against and force bred and all that kind of stuff. But I have memories of just walking along the Nile with my lion, who's now incarnated as my dog Kiki. Just those memories of just the beauty and the bliss and the peace of the river and the cycles of time and the honoring of that. It's just like, feels really good. I feel that energy rising again within me, right? And I think when we do the interpersonal work, right, and be able to get to that place of love and respect and union and communion with Earth Mother, then there's a really warm, happy feeling, that helps us be generally joyful instead of bitter or sour, because there's purpose there. There's purpose there.
Again, like working to reprogram my culture, like we at the house at Rainbow Bridge, we are celebrating Interdependence Day instead of Independence Day,
Mhm.
because so we're having a whole interdependence weekend. We're doing a lot of work with nature and with touch and with connection and with that communion, with that unity and that harmony and finding that serenity and how all the whole system works together. And I think it's so, I think we just got into our monkey minds and overcomplicated things to do that. It's like, just dial it back, bring it back to basics. Like you said, you can just walk and enjoy nature and feel that communion. And that is enough
Mhm.
more than actually what we and
More than enough.
following that like desire to create,
Mhm.
create something to make something special in the environment and to share that. It's that simple.
Yeah, I love that. So yay, yes. Yes to more creation from a place of love and unity and community. Yeah, and it's great. I think all these communities are starting to rebuild. There's we have the big parade, Memorial Day weekend, the carnival, and I'm hearing like the groups doing their drumming around here. And there's a group that moved into a space kitty corner from like 23rd and
What is
kitty
that?
corner kitty corner from me, this Latino group that's doing all the carnival, like one group that's doing the parade and doing the dancing, and they did altars on Day of the Dead. And I just love seeing these spaces now being rented by these community groups, right, who are doing just so much great work. And just in the dancing and the stomping and the drumming, right, we're bringing back that heartbeat of Earth Mother, right? Being able to feel it in the music. So, so good.
Oh, thanks for doing this. It was a great chat.
Yeah. Well, it's always great to hook up with you. Maybe you can tell us where you can find you.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm starbodyearth.com, starbodyearth on all platforms, and then I'm still like I don't know. I was a hermit for so long in terms of doing my work kind of independently just for my own psychic protection. So it's a little bit of a 180 to be like out there and shouting out about what I'm doing.
Mhm,
So I'm still
mhm.
working up to being presence in social media and yeah, there's a lot of things that want to get shared. So that's kind of coming up. You can go to starbodyearth.com. We have a course coming up that is around working with essential oils and connecting with the plant spirit devas. So we have a kit that we put together, me and a collaborator from Australia, beautiful plant medicine woman. Um, let's see, we have the house, Rainbow Bridge here in Mount Shasta is our first season. We're launching programs, and so we have a couple detox retreats. We have men's retreat coming up. We have my friend Judy's coming in and doing kind of a 4-day long weekend around cultivating compassion. We have this couple coming in the Interdependence Day weekend. A beautiful two shamanic drummers are doing programs here. One who's local, Makuikwa, she does a journey to Talos, and she's doing her integrative quantum healing training here. And then another woman who lives, well, I don't know if you met her, Tanya, but she's someone I met through Star Knowledge, and she kind of introduced me to this group of women that we've been working with dragons on the interdimensional plane for a while now, years now. And so she's coming and doing an introduction on how to work with your dragon and the elemental dragons and earth teachers. So we got a lot of programs going on. Oh, I'm doing something for the day. The whole, my whole jam is tracking natural time. So working with the Galactic calendar and as remembered by Jose Arguelles. So that day out of time is July 25th, and we're going to have like a pretty much well, it's really a deep self-assessment on all your body systems. There's 4 or 5 days of purification before the day out of time. So we're running a program that's like really do a deep dive and self-awareness and self-analysis on your different bodies. And then we're gonna have a whole like day-long session class on the mountain.
Amazing. How fun.
Yeah, there's cool. We're in a creation, and we have an awesome, my bestie from high school is like a master vegan chef, so he's gonna be here all summer, and he's an artist as well. So we're gonna play a lot of like kind of adult summer camp games at night, and we're just gonna keep it really playful and fun. And
One of the things that Melanie's also doing, which I think is really fun, and what are you calling it? Meow astrology?
astrology, yeah, my predictions.
Predictions.
Yeah, I have this really sweet collaboration going on because I studied Vedic astrology. So in my natural time, I track the wheel of the year, right? The Celtic wheel of the year, or basically any indigenous calendar tracks the wheel of the year. Solstices, equinoxes, points in between. So that's one layer of time. That's Earth time. And then our solar sister, our solar system time is astrology. And Vedic astrology is really the most I would say accurate to the sky that we're in right now. So I do Vedic astrology, and this woman reached out and said, "Who are my astrologer friends? I want to put these predictions together." She has a shop called Gifty Kitty in Portland, and it's just all cat themed everything. It's just all cats. You walk in, and it's really like incredibly like built out and well done. She's an installation artist. So yeah, I do the predictions. I put them on my site, and then she cat puns them up, like she puts them through a chat GPT like punifier or something. I have no idea how she does it, but she makes them into cat astrology.
So fun. So fun.
So fun.
You can find that on Melanie's website, her monthly predictions for cat astrology.
There's a little tag on the top, so you can see that. And yeah, that's been fun for me. And I really actually would love, this month, I really want to do more readings for people. So if people are interested in looking at the Vedic chart, which is different than your Western chart, it's 23 degrees. If you dial your chart 23 degrees, that's where the stars were when you were born, actually, in this sky now. Western astrology is tracking a sky from 2,500 years ago. And the reason that is because the Vedics gave it to the Persian kings, who gave it to the Greeks, who gave it to the Romans. It's like this trickle down thing, but they didn't teach them the astronomy and how to adjust for the precession of the equinoxes. So their sky is off. But somehow Western astrologers, even Western astrologers that I know who know that, don't want to switch to sidereal time because the culture is like, again, stuck in this matrix that's like stuck in the past. And I don't think it's wrong. I think it can totally play, but I do think that if you're looking at your Western chart, you're working with your ancestral karma. And when you're completed with that, when you've like cleared a lot of that, then you get your personal karma through your Vedic chart. And then the Mayan calendar, that's like totally galactic time. That the galactic calendar is the third layer of natural time. And that speaks to your dharma and what it is your soul mission is. And you can work with all of these wheels of time, in harmony, and which is what I'm developing a program to kind of guide people through that and how to use that in their life to bring more synchronicity and more alignment into their daily. But that's still in work in progress. So many things going on.
It's all right. All works in progress. So, well, it's really great to connect with you today, Melanie, and just so excited for this shifting, and so, be in awareness, be in love, be ourselves, and cheers.
Thank you. You've always just been such a strong support for me. And I don't know what I would do without you. Yeah. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you, dear.
Okay.
Great. So I'll just stop that recording. I think I stopped it.